Kia ora, I'm Miriam Makamo. They're taxing them in France, banning the supersized in New York. We're talking soft drinks. Even the name suggests they're harmless. But there's mounting scientific evidence to suggest otherwise. The hidden sugar in soft drinks is being implicated in a global childhood obesity epidemic and all the lethal health conditions that go with it: diabetes, stroke, heart disease. But in New Zealand, a maverick millionaire may have stumbled on a simple solution to one of our most pressing health issues: weaning the next generation off sugar. Here's Phil Vine.
I don't think we realise how much damage we're doing our future generations by soaking the present one in this environment.
Go! Go, go, go!
By the time these young lives are run, the finish line might be closer than expected.
There is evidence that our children are going to live less long than ourselves. And that's really quite scary, isn't it?
This might be the first generation of New Zealanders to die younger than their parents. In an average group of 27-year-olds, 5 of them are already obese or overweight. By the time they're 10, that number's 7. And 12 out of 20 of them as adults will have health risks from being too heavy.
We have a horrible future. We have got a major problem, and it's just it's this big tidal wave that's coming. I mean, it is a pandemic. They love the water man.
But this man, this maverick millionaire,
You guys are always on time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and we always love you guys, water.
may have part of the cure by replacing kids' sugary soft drinks with water.
I mean, sugar is evil. It's
Do you really believe it's evil?
yeah, it's addictive. It's a poison. It's toxic.
Tony Falkenstein made his first million importing these classic 80s shades. How much are you worth?
I wouldn't know. I'm not an ritualist. They'd probably say he's worth about the 20 million mark.
Tony's famous for pioneering business and construction courses in high schools. Now the CEO of Just Water, he's on a crusade against soft drinks. That's him in the bishop's outfit, he and his staff not holding back.
There's more and more scientific evidence that we've got an addiction.
New Zealanders scoff 500 million litres of soft drinks every year.
We like sugar. We're programmed right from when we have our first meal from our mother to like that sweet taste of mother's milk.
So what's different about sugar in this liquid form?
You can just, like a flip top, open up your head and pour them in. And we don't know when we're full.
Elaine Rush from AUT says sugared water does something strange to our appetites.
So our satiety centre in our brain does not detect you've had enough for quite a long time.
In some people, that's one of the factors that can lead to obesity. And we know obesity leads to diabetes and heart disease.
And Millie Losser, who we're about to meet, is a case in point. Hi, how are you feeling today?
Not too bad.
Yeah. Losser's just had a triple bypass following a heart attack. Her kidneys are failing, she's on dialysis, and her eyesight's going.
If only I had listened. If only I had listened. You don't want to end up like me. Drink water.
Do you think, Losser, that fizzy drinks are part of the reason why you're here like this now?
Yes, I think so. But a lot of fizzy and bad eating, not eating the right food.
How many bottles would you drink a day?
For about 3 litres.
3 litres of fizzy?
Yeah, fizzy. Every drink that came on the shelf, I wanted to try it. I wanted to be the first one to try it.
Losser got her diabetes at 19. Her mum died of it, aged 48.
Not enough time to remember.
And her daughter, Kylie, has got diabetes too.
I don't really want anyone in the family to get it. It's a real killer on you.
Losser was admitted to hospital 39 times in the last 9 years. Hospital staff estimate she's clocked up $1 million worth of medical bills.
There's not enough money now to provide the treatment for these diseases. We've got to get the biggest bang for our taxpayers' buck.
We have to do something to try and fix it.
10 teaspoons of sugar in this 1 can of Coke.
And they are
Now,
trying.
that's a lot of sugar.
At this inner Hamilton primary, a nutritionist teaches about the sugar in soft drinks.
No one would ever think about putting 10 teaspoons of sugar on their wheat bix, because that would just taste yuck. But that's how much is in there.
Millie's trying to show them young about healthy alternatives, low-fat milk and tap water. It's a hard sell.
You say to the kids, drink tap water, but they're just not doing it. Why is that?
Tap water's boring.
People can know what they need to do, but do they do it? No. It's really, really hard to change those ingrained behaviours.
But Tony Falkenstein, the waterman, had an idea. He remembered how his daughter and her mates had reacted when he brought a water cooler home from work.
And they'll drink out of the water cooler in preference to Coke. Everything has to be easy, and their friends like doing it. And they love pressing the button and having a glass of water.
Coming up,
Something special has happened here.
and what's Big Fizzy got to say?
Why are you still selling this stuff to children?
Every weekday morning, early, Tony's water trucks head out to South Auckland.
You're drinking lots of water?
Yes, I am.
Once a month, the boss tags along. 2 years ago, alarmed at the obesity rates,
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Tony started advertising rent-free coolers. No points for sensitivity.
We ran some ads in local papers which were probably not that PC, which were, hey fatty.
But they worked. 5,000 homes and some of Auckland's poorest areas are using his free coolers, and word spreading.
They talk about the waterman's here, and we're probably like the old milkman when we appeared on the street.
Now, this is just filtered tap water, and Tony Falkenstein's charging for it, $1 a litre. But the difference is the water coolers come free.
It did cost us, well over $2 million in just getting this whole thing together that made it, before it started making a profit, and it's still a marginal profit.
You could see this as a moral smokescreen, Tony. You're selling something that's free, water.
Yeah, you definitely could, and I suppose that unfortunately is the criticism I get.
And you're selling it to poor people.
That's right. But in fact, at the moment, they're the biggest consumers of colas, and so it's a lot cheaper than what they're drinking now. And at least it's good for them.
Thank you very much.
This is my nephew Hunter, Stephen, another nephew.
Heather's family, one of the first to take up Tony's offer.
And my daughter Naomi, who's 10.
And do you have anyone with diabetes in your family?
My grandmother, my father.
Heather recognises she was part of the soft drink generation.
Walking home from school, and it's cheap enough to get a pie and a fizzy.
Nowadays, after school here, there's a regular stampede, not the fridge, but Tony's free cooler.
Ready, finish.
I love just seeing those kids just, loving the water.
I would say the whole novelty of the water cooler, with them getting their cups and doing them pouring their own, or using the cooler. At their level where they can go and get it seems to be water. There's nothing else, no cordial, no nothing, no soft drinks, and now no juice in the fridge anymore. It's milk and water. I believe that it is a change for the better.
According to the last nutrition survey, this is the amount of sugar the average male like myself would consume in a year. 20 kilograms, just over the healthy limit. The trouble is that half of us are consuming more than this. Some of us, much more.
How much sugar do we actually need in a day?
Only about 50 grams for the average person. Big people need more and little people need less.
What percentage of New Zealanders are having more than that?
Well, more than 50%.
So we've got to cut back. Tony's just audited his cooler scheme and the results are impressive. His South Auckland families are drastically cutting their intake of sugary pop.
And what we've found is that the consumption of fizzy drinks drops by 61% when they have a water cooler in there.
That's quite a lot. And that's an awful lot, actually,
That's
Tony.
enormous. Even if it only dropped 50%, it would be 24 kilos of sugar a year.
That's this much per family.
If Mr. Falkenstein can make a difference, a positive difference in some small way, then good on him, and yes, we would applaud that.
Kerry's speaking on behalf of the industry. The two biggest soft drink players, Frucor and Coca-Cola, make $120 million a year.
It's not about money, it's about a nation's health.
Is it really? Are you saying that Coca-Cola and Frucor are most concerned about this country's health?
I'm saying to you that these are companies that have a social responsibility. They're taking the research seriously. They're working their way through the issues. They're happy to engage with anybody who has something positive to add, and they will assist in finding solutions to this issue.
If you, as an industry, do have a social conscience, why are you still selling this stuff to children?
We are selling it into the market. It's being sold into the market. The fact that children purchase it or adults purchase it on their behalf is not something that the producers can control, nor would they necessarily want to. It is still a matter of free choice that somebody can go and purchase these products, drink it responsibly, on occasion, as a treat, and not suffer any health effects.
But hold on. The effects of sugar and sugary drinks may be far worse than we'd ever imagine. There's some controversial research coming out of California.
To be clear, you're saying sugar is a toxin, it's poisonous. What exactly, could you summarize?
Sure. The question is sugar empty calories or is it more than that?
Dr. Lustig claims sugar doesn't just make us fat, it messes with our metabolism.
Obesity is you eat too much, you exercise too little, right? Wrong. I don't think that has anything to do with it. Obesity is a marker for metabolic dysfunction, and the question is, what caused that metabolic dysfunction?
Sugar, he says.
I've read Lustig's research, and if he is right, then it would be an alarming possibility.
What does that mean for an industry that sells sugared water?
It's going to have an impact on all, it would have an impact, if he is correct, on all food and drink producers.
This would be like a tobacco moment, wouldn't it?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do is find out whether he is correct.
In other countries, they're not waiting to find out. Soft drink regulations on the way.
So the crisis demands action of some kind?
Yes, and who is going to do this?
In New York, the mayor's threatening to ban the sales of large-sized sugary sodas, anything over 473 mils. In France, they've introduced a tax on sugary drinks. Tony wants to see the same thing here.
Now that would give consumers a time to get rid of the addiction and manufacturers time to take down the level of sugar in their products.
Well, I don't see that that's going to solve anything either.
Well, higher price make them less appealing?
Let's firstly find out what is really causing the high intake of sugar. Let's find out whether there are certain groups that have a greater propensity to be harmed by this.
But Professor Rush counsels action now to reduce children's sugar intake.
So there can be treats, but a treat should be a treat, not an everyday food. So that's where the distinction has to be drawn.
Come on, life is hard. You want us to take the sugar out of it, you want us to take the fun out of it.
At least you'll have a life and not be dead. I mean, diabetes in particular is a decimating disease. Going blind, needing a kidney transplant, having limbs amputated. Is that fun? And is it fun for the rest of the family that they have to see the suffering going on?
I mean, look at me. Look what I've just been through. It's hard.
Do you feel any duty of care towards those people who do become obese from sugary soft drinks?
Absolutely we do.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, there is no producer of sugar-sweetened drinks in this country that is oblivious to the research that points to overconsumption of sweetened drinks, and they take that research very responsibly and very seriously.
A couple of weeks back, Tony got an award for new thinking.
I really will covet this award. When I was 8, I won the beginners doubles trophy at Waiata Tennis Club.
But his new thinking on soft drinks has made him few friends in food and beverage circles.
Well, I mean, he's entitled to his opinion.
He's saying that what Coca-Cola and the other soft drink manufacturers are doing is morally wrong.
Well, he can take that moral stance. It's not necessarily a stance that we would agree with.
Well, I suppose, I mean, like a lot of things, I have an inner confidence, and so I think, hey, they're the guys that have got it wrong, not me.
Love his work. And Losa, very brave for sharing your story. And don't forget, of course, it's only 50 grams that we need in a day. Just 50 grams. Everything else, probably not needed. All right, next. It's a deadly trade, and it's just across the ditch. The investigation revealing a shocking enterprise in Australia.
Excuse me, Captain Emad.
Hi.
I'm Sarah Ferguson from the Four Corners television programme.
Right, well.
I want to talk to you about people smuggling. How long have you been a people smuggler in Australia? No, I know.
I don't know what you're talking about.